I have a quick thought experiment for you to consider. What would it be like if the most world-famous feminist, when people think of feminism and who represents it, it would be this person, if she had been arrested for raping and trafficking men? Not only raping and trafficking men, but actually running an online university called something like the Pimping and Exploiting Men University, and profited off of this university, teaching other women how to get men to fall in love with her and how to exploit men and abuse men and manipulate men, spreading rumors to humiliate them, using emotional manipulation to break them down, and making sure to target young men and vulnerable men, forcing them to do sex work that they did not want to do, and using threats and actual violence to keep them in line, and falsely imprisoning men and stealing these men's passports in order to make sure they can't leave. Imagine if the world-renowned feminist had done this, and feminists still got together and said, yeah, that's who we want as our leader. That's the alpha female. That's who we want defining what femininity is. That's who we want as our representative. No one put a gun to our head. We chose this woman to represent us. What would that say about us? Imagine the credibility of feminism, of women's liberation, if this was who we chose as our leader. Imagine if Kamala Harris was in the White House and this feminist had said, you know what, if you extradite me to face these charges, no woman will ever vote for you again. And it appeared that at least prior to this, Kamala Harris and her administration had pulled strings to make sure that this feminist was protected from justice. Imagine if this feminist had a father that had done his best to raise her and her siblings, and a mother that was violent and abusive, that abandoned her and her siblings, yet she spoke of the mother as a great person, even used something about her mother as her icon, a chess piece, because her mother was a chess player, but then called her father a dumb bitch. And this is who feminists chose as their alpha female, as the representation of what it means to be feminine. Andrew Tate is not a representative of what is best about being a man, or all men, or what it is to be masculine. He is a representation of misogyny. He is a representation of anti-feminism and red pill, and he is spot on what they are and what they represent or what they'd like to be. Abusive, violent, criminal people who only seek their own ends and wish to exploit people in order to get them. They are self-centered, they are reactionary, they are immoral. They do not care about human rights, they care about themselves, full stop. They don't even care about other men. They don't claim to. It's hyper-individualistic. Red pill not only ruins men's ability to have relationships with women, but they can't even be friends with other men. Not only because they have such a poor opinion of men, but also because they're so homophobic and treat relationships like a weakness. And this is definitely not limited to Tristan and Andrew Tate. Red pill leaders, almost to a person, are some of the most horrifically evil and self-centered people you can find, especially when it comes to how they view and treat women. A founder for A Voice for Men, Paul Elam, he once said that some women choose to be raped, and in his words, might as well walk around with a sign around their neck that says, "I'm a dumb bitch, rape me." He also wrote an essay where he said that no amount of evidence could ever convince him to vote guilty if he was a juror at a trial for a man being convicted of raping a woman. He would never convict any man of raping a woman. A Voice for Men also takes the stance that marital rape should be legal, at least in terms of men being able to do whatever they want sexually to their wives. Because the way they see it, marriage is a contract that states that men can do whatever they want to a woman perpetually. Founder of Return of the Kings, Rushdie, believed that rape should be legalized on private property, because his belief is that rape actually comes from women's promiscuity and sexual freedom rather than men who rape women, rather than the actions of rapists. So Rushdie originally wrote a bunch of books where he imagined what it would be like to have sex with beautiful women in many different countries. And anyone who's ever had sex with a woman or even talked to a woman knows that these are obvious works of fiction. He's bragging about how he mistreats women, and yet all these women still sleep with them. And one of his books includes a scenario where he knows a woman does not want to sleep with him because she tells him this, and he doesn't stop. He continues to have sex with her, even though she makes clear she does not consent to it and does not want to have sex. I guess one consolation is it is almost certainly fiction, but the fact that he lies about being a rapist says a lot. And you see it in the Whatever podcast, where I don't even know his name, and I don't really care to. He says that rape is good for certain people because sometimes women orgasm during rape. And I want to make this clear. It does not matter if you orgasm. Rape is about consent, not physical response to being stimulated. One of the reasons him saying this is so dangerous is because it's actually more compelling in regards to men who are victims of sexual assault, because it's so easy just to say, well, he had an erection, because it does not matter if you have an erection. It does not matter if you orgasm. That does not make it consensual. Period. If these men actually cared about male victims, they wouldn't say things like this. And of course, there's all the misogyny of Fresh and Fit and Kevin Samuels. I could go on for ages about the misogynoir of the save yourself black men, but the point stands. Red pill men are some of the worst men. So if you care about men and you care about men's representation and masculinity, you should care that some of the top representations of that are self-confessed sexual predators, rapists, sex traffickers. That not only do they do this, but they teach other men how to do it and they defend it. And it should be clear by now, it was never about fears of misandry. When women talk about sexual assault and intimate partner violence and how these are things that we disproportionately face as women because of predominantly men doing these things. That is a fact. That is not misandry. But we can't talk about this without hearing these cries of not all men, but somehow these cries are silent when it comes to actual men who are representing all men and masculinity as such a horrific caricature of what men are and can be. Then it doesn't matter. It's only when it can be used as an excuse to dismiss women's pain and ignore these issues that it matters. So it's not about defending men. It's not about defending masculinity. It's all about ignoring women. And they prove it. And if feminists did the same things, we wouldn't let them slide. We wouldn't ignore this. The point is, anti-feminism is a reactionary movement. It isn't just harmful to women, it's harmful to men. And if you care about men, you should call these people out.